Well, my name is Craig, and I am here with Pastor Jeff of Community Bible Church. Pastor Jeff, thank you so much again. I know we talked a little bit before we started, just for being willing to jump on.
Uh,
Um, to get started, I'd love to just give you a little bit of the history, maybe a little bit of the background of you and Community Bible Church for those of us who don't know.
okay. So Community Bible Church is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Community Bible Church is celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. And I had the opportunity to spend my whole life at the church. My parents started to attend about the time I was born. So I joined staff as an intern in the late 80s and became full time as a youth pastor in 1991. And I've been in the lead pastor role now coming up on 19 years.
Wow, 19 years. That's incredible. So,
Yeah.
also incredible that you've been there your whole life. That I
Yeah.
don't know if I've I don't know if I've ever heard another pastor have quite that story unless they planted the church. I mean, that feels
Right.
like a pretty uh unique, amazing situation.
Yeah.
Um so being there 19 years, I imagine being there your whole life, I imagine you've seen kind of the ebbs and flows of um church and attendance and buildings and everything that's going on. Um, Maybe tell us about this recent campaign that you guys did. Why did you know, or why did you feel like, hey, it's time, we need to take a step, we need to make a move? Because a lot of pastors, maybe they don't recognize it's time, or when it is time, they don't really know if we should move forward. What made you say it's time to go?
Yeah. I think it was 21, 22. We as elders were having our yearly elder retreat, and we were seeking Lord in regards to what He has for us next. And as we looked at who we were and our role in the kingdom, and we were wrestling with, do we start a church or do we do a building expansion for the youth? Because that's always been a big part of the church, and we had run out of space for our youth. And one of the elders said, well, why do we feel like we need to choose between a building expansion and starting a church? Um, you know, God's big, and if we want something only God can do, why don't we consider and pray about doing both? I'll let you know that my initial reaction was I was a little annoyed and angry at that elder because it's like, no, um, I'm like 60 years old. This is not what I was anticipating. Like, just the flesh, like that's foolish. Um, but within at almost the same moment, there was this deep sense in my spirit that I think he's right. And so
Mhm.
then we took the next 6 to 9 months as elders just to pray and to process through that, so that we had a sense of confirmation that we should really move forward with both before bringing that to the congregation. And so
Mhm.
then we put two exploratory teams together. We hadn't made a commitment. We were going to explore those two options. Um, and the team that we put together to explore a expansion that would be for the youth was came back to us as elders, and it was made up of a smaller group of elders. And they're
Mm.
like, we really think it would be foolish to just do a building expansion for youth. Um, since coming out of COVID, we've been growing 10 to 14% per year. And they're like, Jeff and the elders, if you haven't noticed, we're out of space on Sunday mornings. If we're going to expand the youth ministry, we're going to be reaching more families. Like, so this like little youth space now all of a sudden mushroomed into something really huge. Um, and just being candid, I'm not. I really, over the years, when the topic of building expansion came up, I was like, I'm just not sure that's necessary,
Mhm.
just not sure that's the best use of our resources.
Right.
Um, and there was another elder who was sort of, had that same perspective, and he was on the building expansion mm, team. So, at the elder meeting when they presented us, I'm like, "Mike, like, help me understand where, you've been over the last few years and why are you recommending this?" And here's what he said, and I thought it was, very insightful. He's like, I've always felt like when we talked about building expansion in the past, it was more for us. There was this inward focus of how it would benefit us. He said, but this conversation is totally focused on how we can reach those outside of CBC. And he said that's was my shift. So um, I was probably, one of the last elders and staff to say, "Yeah, okay, I think we need to do this." And really, I got to the point I remember driving to that elder meeting, and it's like, I don't feel like we have an option not to do this.
Really?
I mean, and quite frankly, what would we be saying if we decided not to move forward with, a building expansion beyond just the youth? It's like we care more about our own comfort than
Mm.
reaching the lost and why we're here. So it's been a long process. So then we uh, went uh, to the next step of after the exploratory teams to say to the congregation, we're going to continue to keep moving forward. And the visual picture is I was always hold out my open hands. And I said, we're moving forward with open hands and surrendered hearts until God closes the doors. And he's never closed the doors, so we just keep walking through them. Um, and so that's been the process of getting to the point to say where we're at today on a very high
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. It's also interesting um, to hear your insight about in 2021, 2022, trying to figure out what God's calling you to do, and
Yeah,
that I love the one elder poking you and poking
yeah,
everybody, maybe saying, "Why don't we
yeah,
do both?" I've heard many a pastor share that frustration of God calling you to the next step, and you're like, "Oh man, okay."
yeah. This is too
So
big. This is too hard, right? And it's completely foolish. Why would we be sending out people and their resources at the same time that we're trying to um, raise funds for building expansions? Humanly
right,
speaking, it doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
Um, and yet the Lord calls us to continue to step out and trust Him, even when it doesn't always make sense.
So you do that, you step out and trust him, and then, give me I guess, a little insight on the timing of I know that it was, I guess, last month you guys had your public commitment, so it's in February, but when did this start in terms of, your partnership with Enjoy and kind of that pre-phase of the campaign? When did all that start?
I can't really remember. I Yeah, we started last year at this time is
Okay,
when
so
we
it's been
really
about a
entered
year.
into our relationship with Enjoy.
So maybe tell me about that then, that 'cause
Uh,
that's, that's
okay,
been 4 years.
let me go back. What started out with the it was actually the fall before that.
Okay,
So this is 2026, 20 the fall 2024. Um, we uh, partnered with Enjoy to do the feasibility study. Like, what could a church our size be
right.
able to raise? What should we be looking at? Um, and So that was the fall, and then last year, this time is when we actually started um, having conversations and laying the groundwork for the capital campaign that we just went through in February.
Mhm, mhm. Mm, let me ask you this, because we have a lot of churches that, and I'm sure you experience this as an elder team, uh, we have a lot of churches who aren't sure if they should move forward. Yeah, they get to that point and because they have a lot of options. They could go with someone else, they could go internally, or I mean, quite frankly, they could also just say, "Hey, not right now. We're just not going to do this right now." Um, would you recommend for other pastors or churches to do that feasibility study? Like, would you say for you guys, hey, that was a good decision, and did it help you in moving forward?
I'll be totally candid with you.
Please, because I want
We
to share it.
we the the building expansion and starting a new church, the numbers connected to that are $30 million. And
Okay.
we um, reached out to Enjoy, and Chad's um, honest assessment, which was good, necessary, and healthy, was you guys can, a church your size, with your budget and giving over the last 10 years, I think you should be able to raise $4 to $6 million. And we were
Mhm.
like, what? Like, what in the world are we going to do? Like, um, so he's like, that's just based on the data. He said, um, but we really encouraged, uh, we said, hey, we'd like for you to interact with people. So he met in groups. I forget the title of what he referred to those groups as. Um, but he met with different groups and segments to get a pulse on the CBC family. Like, is this a healthy church? Are there things that are beneath the surface? Again, no elders, no pastors in these conversations. Um, Basically assessing, I think, two things: the health of this church, and is anything that could sabotage moving forward with the capital campaign, and also what level of buy-in was there for the two initiatives. That's starting the church and the building expansion. And also, we as elders um, did initial, hey, what was the Lord be asking us to contribute? So the elders came back and said initially, we can commit 1.7, I think is what it was. And he said, hey, it looks like you got people see the need, see people see the vision. Looks like you guys are healthy. So he took that 4 to 6 and bumped it up to 8 to 10. Um, and he I remember him saying, Jeff, I know you are hoping and trusting for more than this, but you may thank me for having these kind of expectations, right? Um, so uh, even though it was, we were disappointed, we were hoping that he would be able to um, give us a higher number. It was very, very, very necessary and healthy to have realistic expectations for us as
Uh-huh.
pastors, for us as elders, and for us as a congregation. So it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I think that's helpful. Like you said, it's one of those things where, as a leadership, elder team, to get the insight, and say, okay, well, to be able to step into that and then make decisions out of it. Um, well, maybe talk a little bit then about what happened. What was public commitment like? What was that energy like? And what did you guys see happen over the last, I guess, it's really been, it sounds like 5 years, but what happened over the last, 6 months as you really ramped up and got to that, like, hey, we're launching this thing.
Yeah. So the silent phase produced 5.7, and I think Chad said that the normally 60%, again, just basic figures, is raised during the silent phase. So you
Mhm.
do the math, that put him right again where he said that he thought we could raise the 8 to 10 million. Um, so we were able to share that with the congregation on February the 1st. And what was really helpful was the language of seek, listen, and obey. I repeated that and repeated that and repeated that um, during our 4 week capital campaign. And so that was very, very helpful language to just walk people through that. So we had the kickoff vision event. Um, that was a great way to build momentum and energy. Um, that was a week or so before we had the Sunday morning kickoff on February the 1st. February 1st was just a total vision focused Sunday morning. Um, and then enjoy work with us to have the booklet that we presented. Um, so incorporate a lot of faith stories, continue to focus on the need, continue to focus on the vision. And then I had two messages related to giving. And then the fourth week, February 22nd, was the commitment Sunday. And gave a message on the fishes and the loaves and the feeding of the 5,000 and how we each bring what the Lord has given us and trust that He's going to multiply it. So it was a really sort of short, compact time, right? Like Sunday morning was the public kickoff, February the 1st, two messages on giving, letting people know all through those 3 weeks, hey, um, our commitment Sunday. Um, so we use the language faith covenant because we over 75 years we've been through this process before, and the founding pastor was committed to that language and to honor him in our 75th anniversary. I checked with Chad about that language. He's like, "Yeah, that'll work." So it was just good to be able to say, "Hey, we recognize all of us are stepping out in faith through this process. Something that we've done before as a church. It's our generation. It's our time to step up. And this is a covenant, which is a promise between you and the Lord. It's not legally binding. Um, this is not even a covenant you're making to me or the elders or the church. This is a covenant between you and the Lord." So that was the language used. And then we shared 2 weeks later that the Lord had provided 13.7, and we are at that point we also had 700,000 to start with. So yeah, 14.5 million God has provided. So that puts us in a great position to um, move forward with building our auditorium and lobby. Um, and that will also allow us to expand the youth ministry because we'll have the high school students meet in the auditorium on Wednesday nights. And we also have a big recovery ministry, regeneration and marriage ministry, reengage, that meet on Monday night. So they'll also be able to, they're out of space, so they'll also be able to meet there on Wednesday night. And so, Lord willing, we will be able to navigate through the first phase, um, and there will be a gap um, between what that cost is and what we have. But we're going to trust and believe that the Lord's going to continue to bridge that gap, and hope and pray. Come the end of 2028, we can have that new auditorium and lobby space, and also, be debt free is the hope and prayer. And we've committed 1.5 million to starting the new church. And they had their first service this past Sunday.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so we 2 weeks ago we commissioned them. So we had 100 people on stage, two elders, the pastor. Uh, Yesterday I heard they had 140 individuals in the gymnasium at a school, and public launch is going to be Easter. So God's brought all the pieces together for that, and God's we're going to come back to the congregation on May 3rd with, hey, specifically, here's the funds that God has provided, and here's the specifics with what we're doing moving forward with the building expansion. And then there'll be a congregational vote on that. But again, God's provided above and beyond, and has put us in a position that we can continue to move forward with both initiatives.
It's amazing. I really did get goosebumps. Like, uh,
Yeah.
for a couple reasons. One, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but when I was in high school, the church I went to did a campaign. Same thing. They did a big campaign, and it reminds me a lot of your church, your situation. They did a campaign for the youth. They built a youth building. That's what it's
Right.
for.
Right. That was the
They do,
initial vision.
yeah, that's what it was. They do recovery ministry in that building. Like
Yeah.
to this day, right now it
Yeah.
happens. They do marriage conferences in that building.
Wow.
I remember being probably a freshman in high school, and we used to meet in the main auditorium or the main church.
Yeah.
And I remember when they built, I'll never forget. It's burned in my memory. They walked us over when it was almost done. It was kind of a shell. It was concrete, like,
Yeah.
stair steps. We won't put any of this in, but I want to tell you this. It was concrete stair steps, and they walked us all in there, and they gave everybody a Sharpie.
Yeah.
All of the kids. They gave us all a Sharpie, and they said, "Hey, this is gonna be where the seats are.
Yeah.
Just write the names of the people that you want to put in the that are gonna come. You're gonna help us put in these seats." And I still
Yeah.
remember like writing the names, and oh, it gets me to this day, like
Yeah.
thinking about like, oh, what an impact that's gonna have. And I was
Mm.
14, but
Yeah.
all my friends were there. We were all doing it, and it's
Yeah.
still such a knowing that the church believed in me enough and believed in my generation enough to say like, "Hey, this is for you guys. We're building this for you." And it was now I get to take my kids there,
Oh,
and be like,
that's
"Hey, here."
awesome. That's awesome.
It's so
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah, so
So,
we did something similar, February, 15th, which would have been the 3rd week of the campaign. Um, I was really communicating, um, we refer to this vision as the next 75 because again, God sovereignly orchestrated this timeline, so that we could be at this point on our 75th anniversary, not because we were good enough to pull all this together, but because he's the one that's going before us. And so we've been referring to this as the next 75, one vision, two initiatives. And so during the campaign, I continued to communicate, um, more than the next 75 is about starting
that's
a church and a building expansion. It's about people. And I
Mhm.
made that statement over and over again. And we had stories and testimonies that reinforced that. And then we also had stones for individuals to go to pub tables in the service, off to the side, put the names of friends, family, neighbors,
Yeah.
coworkers that they want to see come to faith in Christ, and then bring them up and place them on the stage. So
Tables.
we have some creative individuals who are processing uh, how what we want to do with those stones and continue to give that
So cool.
visible. But again, it's powerful because you see on there like mom and dad and um,
Mhm.
you are able to connect that hey, we're 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 moving forward and we're going to give sacrificially. We're going to step out in faith here because it's for people and not just generic people, but loved ones that we want to see be part of um, the faith kingdom and following Jesus and Lord willing, CBC
What?
Community Bible Church can be part of that journey for them.
Come on. I love it. I love it. Well, I have one last question for you, and then I'll let you jump off. And again, I really appreciate well, a couple things. One, your candor with everything and just your honesty of, hey, here's what we were experiencing. We didn't want to do this, and here's what I felt like. That's so helpful for us. Because I think a lot of pastors share that, and teams, leadership teams kind of share the way that you're feeling, share those feelings. Um, but our process is, and you're probably somewhat familiar with this, but we meet with leadership teams and elders and boards all the time who are um, maybe think they want to do an expansion, maybe want to launch a church, maybe want to pay off debt. I mean, there's a myriad of things. Um, but they have a lot of options in front of them. Like I mentioned before, they can partner with other places. They can go internal. They can just say, "Hey, not right now," or they can partner with Enjoy. You guys obviously made the decision to partner with Enjoy. Um, I would love just from your perspective, um, what was there one thing or what made you say, "Hey, this is the right move"? Um, and I guess what did you learn on the other side of that in terms of partnering with Enjoy Stewardship specifically to help you through the campaign?
Right. Well, first off, myself and all of us in leadership, we recognized that we needed a playbook, and we didn't have the playbook. Like, we had no idea um, from A to Z how we would go about a capital campaign. So we clearly knew that we could not do this on ourselves. We needed the playbook. We needed um, the expertise, the experience, the wisdom of an outside organization to come in and coach us through this process. Um, and then again, we had put a group of individuals together to research who would that be. I wasn't part of those conversations, but that group came back to us and they had interacted with three or four organizations, and they said it's not even close. From our perspective, Enjoy has the most experience. They the majority, I'm not sure what percentage of churches and organizations go with Enjoy. You have a long-standing history. So it was obvious to the team that did the research that you guys had the most experience, most respected, top of the field. Um, so that was the rationale from the team that came back to us. And so was like, okay, this is the money we need to invest, and this is what we need to do. And so and Chad was fantastic. I loved working with Chad. He was always available. I could call him, text him whenever, and he always got back to me. And again, he obviously flew into town, coached us through the process. So having somebody like Chad that we trusted, that we respected, who was a servant, um, was just huge for us. And again, it was God's grace, God going before us, bringing this partnership together with Enjoy.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, Pastor Jeff, we're super excited to see what the next several years has in store for you guys because like you said, I know this is you cross the starting block now with building and all these next steps
Right.
and a new church launch and all those exciting things. So we'll be in touch. We want to hear more about it. We want to continue to share it and continue to celebrate it with you guys. So
Yeah.
um, again, thank you so much for your time. uh, much appreciated, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate your time as well. Love sharing
Yes,
the
sir.
story of what only the Holy Spirit can do.